Welcome to the Swim Swam podcast. I'm today's host, Coleman Hodges, and joining us today, we have got Pan American champion, 7-time South American Games gold medalist, NCAA All American, and Big Ten champion in the 200 freestyle from this 2024-25 season. We are sitting down with Michigan's Stephanie Balduccini. Stephanie, thanks so much for joining us. How's it going?
Thank you so much for having me. It's going good.
This episode of the Swim Swam podcast is sponsored by Commit Swimming, Swim Swam's exclusive team management software partner. Since 2015, Commit has been providing coaches with swimming's leading workout management software. And now, Commit has team management software too. Commit wants to help you make the switch from Team Unify to a simpler, more powerful solution. Their onboarding and customer service team will walk you through every step of the way. Check them out at commitswimming.com to book your demo today. That's COMMIT swimming.com. I'm excited to sit down and chat with you. I don't think we've ever spoken before, but you've had quite a season with the Michigan Wolverines. So I'm excited to kind of break that down. Just coming off of NCAAs, how are you feeling about how this short course season went for you as a whole?
I'm really happy. I think last year it was good, but it wasn't like half as good as I wanted it to be. I think I think coming in like as a freshman, moving so far away from home and just going into short course yards, it was just a lot to take in, and I swam reasonably well, but it was just not the year I was expecting. And so to come in and at midseason, like just go 141.8, and like I was already like going the right path. So I was super excited. And after NCs, I was definitely like felt like the job was done. Definitely a lot more that I would like want to do in the future. But for now, I'm really happy where we are.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about where where you are as a Michigan team. It's because it seems like a little bit this team was shot out of a cannon this year. You finished ninth at NCAA's on the women's side, as well as, oh my gosh, I don't want to get this wrong. Third at Big Tens or second? Third, with some serious highlight swims. Just coming into this season, did the team energy feel different for you? I know individually, I'm sure you were a little more comfortable.
Yeah, I think last year with the whole coaching staff change, like I got lucky because I got in when the coaches had arrived. So as much as everything was new to me, it was to them too. But like last year we did such a good job. We like improved, I don't know, like 12, 13 places from the NCs the year before. So it was great. But I think everyone's just like really happy with where we are right now, and we just like what we're doing. We're happy with the coaches. The coaches are doing a great job. They make us feel confident in what we're doing. We trust them with what we're doing, and so it kind of just comes in hand in hand. The energy is always great. I mean, when I was recruited here, like I loved it here mainly because of the energy I felt from the team, and it's the exact same. Like if you asked me if I had to like redo the whole process, would I pick Michigan? And the answer would definitely be yes. I mean, the girls are so nice, the boys are great, our team's just great, and we all help each other on a day-to-day basis to get better, especially the seniors who now have gone, but they are definitely like the reason everyone's doing so well.
Yeah. What has I mean, I guess just what was that experience like of being recruited by one set of coaches and then coming into a completely different set of coaches?
Um, I feel like from what I've gathered, it was good that there was a coaching staff change. But I don't know, as everything was so new to me, it was gonna be new to me, like whether I liked it or not. But I'm really happy with the whole coaching staff change, and Brian, who was my coach, like we get along really well, and I get along with all the coaches and they're great. But I think it helped the team culture and everything that's going on And yeah, I'm glad that it was new to me, but it was new to them too, so I didn't feel so alone in the whole process. But it kinda just worked out.
Yeah. What do you feel like specifically head coach Matt Bow just brings as a leader and as a head coach for this team?
Yeah. I feel like he just treats everyone with a lot of respect, and he makes everyone feel seen, and just helps us all want to be elite and want to reach our goals, and we will listen, and this is what I think the coaching staff is great with. They, like, listen to what we have to say, and they make us feel heard, which is very important because I feel like we have a lot going on, and especially here at Michigan with academics being so difficult.
Mm.
We have a lot of, like, difficulties when it also comes to academics about, like, time conflicts and stuff, and I feel like they're pretty understanding about it, and yeah, they just make us, like, enjoy the sport and want to be elite at the same time.
Being elite, how would you say that you have would you say you have reached being elite as an athlete at this point? And if so, or just otherwise, how do you feel like you have reached that, or what entails being elite for you?
Yeah, it's a good question. I feel like for the longest time, I've always felt like my swimming, like, I've never really been 100% satisfied with my swimming growing up. Like, I've always wanted more and wanted more and wanted more. And when the year of 2022, 2023 came along, my swimming kind of just like, I was doing pretty badly in swimming, and I was just not happy doing it. I actually really didn't want to do it anymore. And I kind of just gave Michigan my last shot. I was like, you know what, if this isn't working, like here in Brazil, like I was already committed to Michigan, so I was going to come, but I was like, oh, I'm gonna give Michigan my like, just one more try, see if I really like the sport, otherwise, I'm just kinda gonna, hang the towel, but luckily, it all worked out, and, for me, being elite would be like I initially thought being elite meant getting an Olympic medal or getting a world record or getting a world medal, but I think nowadays, like, especially being here in Michigan, like, being elite is so much more than that. Um I don't know if I would consider myself elite. I think, like, compared to last year to this year, I've definitely, like, improved a lot, and I'm definitely, like, in the track to being what I would consider an elite athlete, but I think there's a lot more still to happen, hopefully good things, but, yeah, but I think there's still a lot to happen, but I'm really happy with the way things are going so far.
I really like that answer of because you mentioned some things, a world record, an Olympic medal, a world's medal that are the pinnacle or seen by many as the pinnacle of our sport. And then you said, but being elite is so much more. As in like those are at the bottom of the list. And I don't know how many people would view it that way, but I really like that view of listen, you have to do all of these other things first,
Yes,
and then maybe those things come.
exactly. I think, like, there's so much more to, like, for the longest time, I think a lot of us believe, and I think this is what drives people out of the sport, is the fact that, like, you only kinda be satisfied when you think you'll only be satisfied when you break a world record or, like, win NCAAs or anything really at the top, but I think it really is about enjoying, like, the smaller things and the smaller goals you set for yourself, and I think that's what, like, when I didn't like swimming as much to, like, nowadays, I've kinda realized, like, there's so many smaller achievements that you can, like, achieve, and that will make you like the sport for a lot longer, as if I were to only, like, think about the end goal, which would be, like, hopefully win NCs one day or, like, maybe get a world, like, medal or an Olympic medal, hopefully, knock on wood, but, um, that was my mindset when I was younger, and it would just drive me absolutely insane when I didn't get, like, the national record, or it's just I could never ever be happy with anything I achieved in this sport, and I feel like after NCs, like, as much as I did wanna win, I just sat there for a bit and I was like, "You know what?" Like, I got 11th last year in the 200 freestyle, and this year I got 3rd, and myself last year, like, she wouldn't think that this would have happened, so I'm just gonna be happy, and I had a huge group of, like, girls just hugging me and congratulating me, and I was like, they're happy for me, like, I need to be happy for myself, and I think, like, these small things just definitely make you like the sport a lot m more. Swimming is difficult, I mean, it's literally an unfair sport, like, you dedicate so much time to, like, improve hardly anything, but we're doing it every day, so
Literally unfair. Yeah, I
Yes.
mean, no, you're absolutely correct though. You dedicate hours and days and weeks and months and years, and you drop 2/10 if
Yeah.
you're lucky. Um,
Lucky.
yeah, no, it's absolutely correct. But in the same vein, like you said, you're learning to take those smaller victories, or to make victory into something that maybe you didn't see as victory before. Which
Yeah.
I'm curious how, yeah, how coming to Michigan helped that transition for you. What was encouraged, or what did you learn? How did you learn that process?
Yeah. I think here compared to home in Brazil, we compete a lot more like at dual meets and stuff. And at dual meets, like no one's gonna do a PB. Like it's if you do, like good for you. But other than that, it's like it just allows you to like try to like improve in certain aspects every time you compete. And I feel like this year we've competed like a lot and like at small dual meets and just even in practice. And you're like any like little win, like I've learned to take it. And I think that was like what changed it for me. It was like before, like I said, it was just this whole like, okay, well, we can only celebrate when you achieve the final goal that you want. And then here when I moved here, it was like smaller goals were just as important, especially like with the coaching staff. Like, you know what, maybe you didn't swim that well, but your start was amazing. And he's like, I'll take that today. Like the way I feel today, a good start is what I needed to hear. And so on. So it's just like mainly like these little meets or in practices, like, you know, just doing a set better than we like sometimes we repeat quite a few sets and see how we did, like
Mhm.
compared to like the past. And everyone normally does a lot better like the second or third time we do it, but just that also like it gives us a boost of confidence. And I think that was the game changers. Like these little wins help you like increase your confidence. And in the end, you're like, okay, well, if I've improved this much, you know, instead of like this much, it just helps a lot. It's all about the mindset, I think.
Yeah. So tell me about, you go through the season, you move through competing a lot, um, and then your confidence heading into Big Tens and NCAA's. You mentioned it. You were third in the 200 free at NCAA's to the two other women that were in the top three in the 200 free at Big Tens. I mean, what's going on here? How is the Big Ten so good at the women's 200 freestyle?
I don't know. I mean, I knew it was gonna be a Big Ten swim off, I figured, at NCAAs, and to be honest, not that I, like, didn't think I was gonna win at Big Tens, but I was pretty like, "What?" Like, when I won, I saw that, I was like, "No way!" But I was really happy with my win at Big Tens, and I knew the girls, like, we were all gonna swim to, like, some crazy time, and, like, that year, I had broken the 143 barrier, the 142 barrier, and I was like, "Okay, I'm almost at the 140, like, let's see how it goes." But I think Poplawski, like, her and I are really good friends, Anna and I, and we, like, went to Paris together, and we got really close this year, and she's someone I really look up to. And I think she has set, like, for the Big Tens, this idea that, like, she's a great 200 freestyler, and when she got 2nd last year, we were all like, "Yes, like, this is the Big Tens, like, this is what we're talking about." And so she kinda set this, like, mood and this tone for, like, upcoming years where we're like, "Yeah, our Big Tens is, like, like, the 200 freestyle Big Tens is great." And then we have Mina, who has recently joined us, who has proven us all, like, right when she comes in and does, like, some killer times, and I think it just, like, kinda motivates us to keep doing better. And like if you looked at like the times, our first, second, and third at Big Tens would have won like even third place would have won like the SECs, the ACCs, and stuff. So I think it just kind of helps us like want to be like better each time and like do it for our team, but also do it for like the Big Tens. And it's so nice competing against these girls. Like it's competitive, but it's like a good competitiveness. Like Anna and I are like laughing behind the blocks like a second before competing, and it's okay.
Yeah. I mean, that was so thrilling to see at both meets, right? I mean, again, the times that all three of you put up at Big Tens was would have won other conference meets. I'm sure would have placed really high at NCAA's, and then the three of you were within. about 3/10 of each other, 3 or 4 tenths of each other at NCAAs, and then you were all about a second ahead of fourth place.
Yeah.
So it's just like you really stood out, and that was a very cool narrative to see. Going to that Big Ten race, what do you feel like you executed well in that final to ultimately get your hand on the wall first?
Yeah. Um, I think right when in the past when I like really struggled with swimming, my confidence level completely like dropped. I was
Mm.
super uncomfortable swimming. I didn't believe in what I was doing. It's just like, and I think that's when my swimming kind of hit rock bottom, where I didn't believe what I was doing was the right work. And so whenever I would compete, I was really insecure and not thinking I was doing the same, like the right things. And so this year, and even when I moved to Michigan, like it improved a lot. But since I was so new to short course yards, like it was very difficult for me to follow along with times and what was a good practice time, what wasn't. And so this year, like I've just understood more like what the times I'm supposed to do, what I'm not supposed to do. And going into Big Tens, I remember going to Matt and I was like, okay, like what would be the strategy to win? Right. It was just like more of a joke. Like I was genuinely curious. And he was like, if you believe until the end, I think you could easily win. And I was like, I'm like, okay, well, that's not exactly a strategy, but I feel like that works. And I was, but I think that was his point, was the fact that like he shouldn't be telling me my strategy because I know what I'm doing. Right. And I
Mm.
think that was the idea behind it. And I was like, okay. And he goes, you know exactly what you're supposed to do. Him and Brian were like, you can do this. And I was like, okay, okay. So I went in like it was a it was confident, but it was also like, I'm gonna do this for me. I'm gonna do this for Michigan. I'm gonna do this for the girls, and that's it. Like I'll give it my best, and like my best is all I can do. And so I was swimming, and I was like, okay, like I'm ahead, like maybe like trying to, and at like final 25, I was like, okay, maybe this is actually gonna work. And I like just put my head down, last 50 meters, take no breath at all, and just like hit the wall. And I just hear all the Michigan girls like screaming, and I'm like, no way. And I think it was more about like being happy while I was doing it. It was definitely that. I think the pressure's still there, not as much as it would be at NCAAs, but like enough for me to like, of course, be very nervous, but also for me to feel like, I feel like I've done a good job this year with practice, and these girls support me. And it was just like a combination of both, to the point where it just worked out perfectly.
I want to clarify. How do you have a strategy for when you put your head down and stop breathing?
Um, Probably like around the 15. I think if you watch
Mm.
most of my races, like when it comes to the 100 and 2 free, I'll definitely try to put my head down earlier on. But sometimes, like depending how tired I am, like I don't think I did at NCs. I was just like at the end of it, I was dying. But other than that, I did try to put my head down. I feel like it's a good habit to have during practice, and it's like benefited me like throughout the years.
If you're doing that in practice, I'm sure it does. I mean,
Yeah.
that's intense, but also 15, the last 15 meters of a 200 freestyle, that seems so long.
Oh, it is long as 15 meters you'll have.
I bet. But kudos to you. And also, I love this advice that you got. How should I race this? Believe.
I was like, "Matt, really?" But it, like, worked out. I know what he meant.
Yeah, it worked out. So as you said, your confidence was built up this year. It was high. You obviously were confident in yourself in this race and at that competition. Um, in terms of Big Tens versus NCAAs, you mentioned, not as much pressure at Big Tens. How do you feel like those two meets compare? Because I feel like sometime you talk to athletes and they're like, "Oh, the conference meet is my favorite meet." Period. Because it is two very different meets, but also I feel like many conferences are now combined and Big Tens is still separated.
Yeah. Um, I feel like at NCs, it's even though I am competing against, like, a few Olympians at Big Tens, like Mina and Anna and a few others, I feel like when it comes to, like, the NCAA stage, it's almost as if it were a world stage,
Mm.
because it's like I see so many people I admire.
Mhm.
And I'm like, "This is so cool." Like, I'm competing against, like, some of the best athletes in the world. And it kind of is like, and then when I went in with, like, the best time, I was like with the top seed, I was kinda like, "Oh, like, I feel like all eyes are on me." In a good way, but, I feel like at Big Tens, like, I get pretty nervous there too, like, in a good way, but I think it's not as many people, and I have such a like, the Michigan like, the amount of girls that go is a lot bigger, so it's more of, like, a good distraction, like, so many girls, like, making me laugh right before I swim, like, I feel like I'm someone who like, I'm concentrated before I swim, but I also someone who, like, would joke around right before I swim and will distract myself so I don't let any, like, negative thoughts, like, come in, and the girls know that about me, and they'll, like, always, like, joke around with me and, like, scream names right before I swim, and it's, like, pretty funny. As an NC is like, you can't keep on screaming, like, a few jokes right before I swim, but, um, yeah, I feel like it's just more of a known stage, the NCAAs, with, like, so many good athletes, and we're all competing to, like, be the best, but all of us are pretty already good, so you're kinda like it's always a mystery. I feel like when I learned that my freshman year, it's a mystery who's gonna swim well and who isn't, like, you never know. Someone always appears out of the blue and does really well, and it's just, like, nerve-wracking.
Yeah, I mean, NCAA's is a wild meet. There are always, as you said, people who just kind of come out of the blue, and you're like, I've never even heard of this person, but now
Yeah,
they're in the A final with me. Or there are some names who you have heard of and who fall off or who don't have the best meet, and it's a wild ride.
yeah, I agree.
Absolutely. So coming into this NCAA's, especially coming off of a Big Ten title, where was your confidence at, especially knowing it would be a wild meet, but knowing you've also been there before?
It was definitely helpful to have like kind of an idea of where it was gonna like what's gonna happen and how things happen because like my freshman year everything was still so new and I feel like I was someone who really struggled moving to the states and away from my family like I'm really close to my family so the first 3 months 2 months I like cried every single day and it was just a hard process to move to the other side of the world but this year like and nothing it wasn't as new, so it was, like, a little more comforting to know what was gonna happen. I wouldn't say I really believe that, like, as much as a swimmer should be confident, they shouldn't be overconfident at all. Like, I feel like that definitely gets to people where they completely think they're gonna win or they're gonna do great, and it, like, doesn't happen. So I always go in with, like, happy with what I'm doing, but not thinking that I'm gonna win or, like, beat everyone by hundreds, like, like, 100 meters, like, of course not, but, I think that's definitely important when it comes to, like, swimming is being confident, but, like, not overconfident to the point where, like, people think you think you're gonna do better. Um, but it kind of like, I went in, like, again, like, it's more about being happy rather than confident, like, satisfied with the work I'm doing, like, know that I did everything I could. I think that's a lot more important than, like, being like, I'm gonna win this by a lot." Like, never will be the case, I don't think.
um, so in that vein, your first event, your first individual race at NCAA's was the 50 free. You went 21:97. Was that your first time breaking 22 seconds?
Yes, we have, like, the 50 group here, and they always put me in the 2IM group, and when I tell you that I absolutely despise the 2IM, I find it the hardest event there is, so I never get to really swim the 50, so when they told me, "You're swimming the 50, not the 2IM," I was like, "Oh, Imma make the most of it," and so when I saw it to 21:97, I was like, "Put me in the 50 freestyle, take me out the 2IM."
Wow. Yeah, I feel like you earned your stripes there. No kidding. What do you find so difficult about the 200 IM?
It just hurts. I normally throw up after I swim it every single like, the lactic acid is just out of control, and it's something about sprinting every single stroke, and I feel like
Mhm.
my breaststroke isn't that good, so I need to, like, get out because people are gonna catch me. Well, it's so hard to get out when these IMers also go out. So I'm like consistently like struggling. I absolutely hate it. Long course, I would rather do it long course than short course yards, but
Okay.
I still find it unbearably. painful.
Have you had to swim it a lot in your college career?
I feel like I swam it last year at Big Tens. I swam it this year at Big Tens. I placed like I think 5th or 6th. Like it wasn't bad, but
Mhm.
I improved like 2 seconds maybe this year, but it's not something I really plan on doing much longer. But if it means I score points for the team, like I'll do it as long as I need to.
Mhm.
But it's definitely a painful event.
Fair enough. Also, 2197 got you 21st at NCAAs. How do you reckon with that? Like, it seems like a rough time to be a sprinter, a female sprinter in the NCAA right now.
It's crazy. I mean, for me, I thought 21 was like so good and not that many people do it. But then I didn't even make C finals. I was kind of like, oh, like, I don't know. But granted, I don't really swim it. So it's like, okay. But I don't know. I feel like each year swimming just gets progressively stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. Like if you see Gretchen, like Gretchen swims faster the one fly than I swim the 100 freestyle. So it's like, you am I doing something wrong? It's just humbling.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Yeah, Gretchen, it is humbling. I imagine. But
Yeah,
yeah, it seems like you're taking it in stride, and now you have goals, right?
yeah, exactly. I feel like it's easier to have goals set in mind than be, like, so good that you don't like, I'm sure Gretchen has many, many, many goals, but, like, when it comes to me, like, I'm kinda not happy I didn't win NCAAs, but I guess it just kinda makes it, like, easier to set in more goals, you know what I mean, than if I had won already as a sophomore, it'd be harder for me to, like, keep on setting such bigger goals for myself.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, you have that hunger or drive built in.
exactly.
No, I absolutely get that. Uh, will you be moved to 50 group now?
I don't know. I'll make sure to ask Brian and plead my case as well as I can.
Please.
Please.
Fair enough, fair enough. Okay, so, overall, a pretty, historic season for you in the NCAA and at Michigan, as well as the Michigan women. How did you feel just about how the team as a whole finished the year?
I think we did really well. This team has gone through a lot, and, we've always been there for each other, and that's what I love the most about Michigan is how, like, much as I feel like I'm part of a family, and like I said, it's so difficult, like, not living away like, it's so difficult living away from my parents, but nowadays, like, I'm so happy that when I leave here to go home, I miss here just as much as I miss home when I'm here, so it's like, it kinda works out. I know, like, I leave today to go home and all the I'm like, "No, I'm gonna miss you guys." Like, I'll be away for 3 weeks, but I'll still miss them so much, and I just think we help each other so much and, like, so much happens behind the scenes that no one really knows about, but it's so good to know that in the end of the day, I have such a huge like, all the girls have such a huge group that supports them and loves them.
Yeah. Which, what more can you ask for from a team, I suppose?
Exactly.
So you are going home for Brazilian Nationals, which I assume will be a World Championship qualifying opportunity for you. Uh, Meet starts Monday. What are you swimming? 2 IM?
No. Yes. No, I'm not swimming 2 I'm swimming the 1 fly to get into the meet. I actually used to swim the 100 fly when I was younger, so give it another shot. This year I've trained a lot of 1 fly, so who knows? But the 1 fly, the 2 free, the 1 free, the 50 free, and a few relays. So I'm looking forward to it. Not the 2 which I'm looking even more forward to not swimming, but I feel like it'll be fun to see how I'm gonna swim long course, and it's just different, and it's nice being in Rio where it's so hot and warm, not like Michigan.
That sounds like it'll be very nice. Where are you in terms of long course? How do you feel like have you trained long course a lot in the last few weeks since NCs.
Yeah, after NCs, I took maybe 2 days off to, like, mentally get back into it, but I feel like we've done such a good job this year with, like we swim short course for most of the time, but I think, like, at least twice a week we do long course, and it's been very helpful, and, Brian and I have been doing a lot of practices, long course, like, these past 3 weeks, and, like, we did some sets that were, like, really good, and I think we're both, like, really excited, like, he can I can definitely tell that he's excited for me to compete, which is nice, and we're both, like, happy and satisfied with the work we've done so far together, and, yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see where this is gonna go. I feel like last year I didn't have a chance to really see where, like, my long course was because I had appendicitis, so it's kinda hard for me to, like, know what was going on. But this year, hopefully, I'll just like manage to really see where my long course is because I feel like I haven't swum it very well in a while.
Yeah. Uh, I did not realize slash know you had appendicitis last year. Can you tell me a
Um,
little bit about that experience? Because it sounds incredibly painful.
yeah, that was horrible. This was about like a year ago now, this time. 2 weeks before my Olympic trials, I had this horrible pain, and it had happened a lot during the semester, so I had it, like, November of 2023, December of 2023, and I went to the hospital with this constant pain, and they're like, it's food poisoning," and I'm like, "Okay, well, can someone give me a solution? Because it's not possible that I have food poisoning so much," and I could actually believe it because food here, I feel like, is different from home, so it
Mhm.
kinda made sense that I was struggling with the food a bit, but then it kinda went away, like, I competed NCs, I competed Big Tens, nothing, and then 2 weeks before my Olympic trials last year, like, the pain came back again, like, worst pain of my life, and I was like, I'm not gonna go to the hospital because, like, they're not gonna do anything, like, they're just gonna tell me I have food poisoning. So I, like, didn't sleep that night. We were recruiting, and I remember, like, the next day we were, like, at some restaurant, and the pain started up again, and my friend was like, "You don't look okay, like, I think we should go to the hospital," and I was, like, almost having a seizure in the car, like, it was horrific. So we get to the hospital, I'm like, "Please," like, I'm, like, literally begging them, like, I'm on in a wheelchair because I can't walk at this point. I'm like, "It's not food poisoning. Can you please, like, figure out what it is?" And we did find out it was appendicitis, and I was like, "Well, that's not exactly something I wanna hear 2 weeks before my Olympic trials." So, I call my mom, it's like 5 AM in Brazil, I'm like, "So, I have appendicitis," and she's like so she hops on the plane at 10 AM that same day, like, did a day flight all the way to Michigan, but in the time that she was away like, in the plane, like, for 13, 14 hours, sh
It's really that long?
it's like 2 hours and then another 9 hours, yeah, it's
Wow, okay.
and during this time that she was, like, I couldn't reach her, I had to make the decision of whether I wanted to take antibiotics and, like,
Mhm.
which had the chance of it not working or taking my appendix out, but if I took my appendix out and had surgery, that meant I wouldn't get the chance to try out for Paris, and I was like, "Okay, well, I guess no brainer, we're going with antibiotics," but I didn't even get to ask my mom, she just arrived and I'm like, "So, we're taking antibiotics." So I spent about 3 or 4 days in the hospital, and it's great. All the girls came to visit me, like, this is what I mean about the team. They're just great. But the antibiotics didn't have full effect. Like, I was still in pain, and I was like, "Okay, I gotta suck it up and just, like, compete." So I competed, qualified for Paris in 3 relays, but not half as like, I didn't swim half as well as I wanted to. Like, I didn't qualify individually. Granted, I was competing with pain, so it was kinda like, at least I did qualify, but then when I came, like, right after trials, I had surgery and spent about 2 to 3 weeks kinda stopped, and so, it was always difficult for me to, like, figure out where I was long course, and at the Olympics, I just swam the relay, so I didn't have, like, an actual idea of, like, what my times were. It was
Mhm.
a rough time, like, my freshman year was rough, but, hopefully this year, like, long course, I'll get to swim, like, to PBs and stuff.
Yeah. That's a tough way to go. Tough way to qualify for the Olympics.
Yeah, don't recommend.
Um, Glad to hear that you got it taken care of. You're better now. It seems like you've moved forward. So are you a long course or a short course? Which do you prefer?
If you'd asked me last year, I would have 100% told you long course. And then
Mhm.
this year, I've kind of figured out the name of the game when it comes to short course yards and the power of underwaters, and it's a good turn. I don't know. You'll have to ask me this after I compete because I feel like I still love long course and I understand it a lot better. But since I've competed so much short course, I've actually grown to really like short course yards. So that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But so you are someone who appreciates long course and enjoys long course.
Yes, I
Do
do.
you I mean, you feeling good into the meet. What is it like not really having raced long course for a while and then having your first meet in quite some time be a national championships?
I feel like it's okay. I mean, I've gotten pretty used to it and I feel like I like doing things here and no one at home really knowing what's going on. Like I feel like, it definitely is uneasy to know that like they have no idea what I'm doing here. And here, like the States is known for having such an elite swimming here in the USA. And so, like, if you look at Gui, Caribe, and like so many other Brazilian swimmers that go here, like we all do pretty well, like when we're here. And so it definitely makes people at home uneasy to know that like the the chances of us coming back and not swimming well are pretty slim. Like I feel like we normally do pretty well. So it's kind of funny because they're like, hey, well, what's gonna happen now? But I normally enjoy competing at home. I feel like it's pretty different than competing here, but I have so many friends at home, and it's nice because it's as much as it is a stressful meet, it's nice. It's also like relaxing because I get to see so many people and I haven't seen in a while. I get to see my family who I haven't seen in so long. So it kind of works out perfectly where there's a balance of like being competitive and like really focusing on what I'm doing and also at the same time like relaxing and like having fun while I'm doing it.
Yeah. It that seems like it would make for a fun competition.
Yeah.
So hopefully it goes well. Hopefully you get some PBs. Uh,
Hopefully.
Speaking of family, you have a twin brother who also swims. He is at Georgia Tech right now. What I mean, I think swimming siblings are such a something that so many are so familiar with, and it's such a specific dynamic. What was yours like just growing up in swimming with a twin brother who was probably going through the exact same thing you were?
Yeah. Yeah, it was great. My whole life, Ricky and I, we swam together, we went to school together, we did absolutely everything together. And as much as we did fight a lot, it was always nice to know that there was always a familiar face at the pool and like someone who knew me better than I knew myself, really. And so when the whole recruiting process started, we kind of knew that we would probably have to go different paths. I feel like when I qualified for Tokyo, I was 16 at the time and still in high school. And Ricky, like, it's very different for a girl who's 16 to qualify compared to like a girl who's like 22. Like it's not that big of like body wise. Like, yeah, girls are a lot like the girl who's 22 is stronger, but it's not that much of a difference as to if you were to compare a boy who's 16 and a boy who's 22, like there's such a big difference. And so I feel like people in my high school didn't really understand and they would always like be like, "Oh, like your sister qualified for the Olympics and you didn't." And I think that really took a toll on him when it came to like how much he liked the sport. And I feel like he was always felt that he was stuck behind like in my shadow and it was not fair at all because he's a great swimmer. So we knew that we would have to like go different paths for us to become very like for us to become independent people because I feel like if we were to go to the same place, we kind of depend on each other a little bit. And I think for the sake of his swimming, he needed to do it on his own this time and like figure out that how good of a swimmer he is and not people have him not people compare him to me. And so he did get recruited to a few same places that I did. I know like Michigan was interested, but we were like, I think like my parents and I and Ricky will agreed that it was best that we like go our separate ways in this case. But it's nice because our mid season's against Georgia Tech. So for my mom, it kills two birds with one stone. I even bought her this like jersey that half of it is Michigan and half of it is Georgia Tech because she kept like changing shirts in the middle of the meet, and I'm like, I'll just get you one shirt. But yeah, and he's doing really well. He's very talented swimmer, and I'm sure he has like a lot to come for him still. But I think it's very like important that we like separated from each other and got to do our own thing and got to become like the independent people. But when we see each other, it's like nothing's changed at all. So it's fine.
That's really great to hear. And I feel like that also shows a lot of, just maturation and knowing of oneself for you both to be like, yeah, I think we need to have this split and have this time apart in order to be able to grow into the people we want to become or the
Yeah,
athletes we want to become.
exactly. I think it's really important, and I think it's helped both of us, like, to figure out things about ourselves that we wouldn't really if we were still, like, doing everything together.
Yeah. And academically, it seems like you both overachieved in that department regard. Georgia Tech, Michigan, both really great
Yeah, great
academic schools.
schools.
Are you guys engineers?
No, he's business and I'm communications, but, uh,
Hey.
yeah, I mean, he loves business. I actually came in doing business, but
Mhm,
I changed my mind and changed my major, but we studied in a British school growing up.
mhm.
And so our plan was always to move to the States. Like, my parents spoke to us in English ever since we were kids. Actually, for the longest time, English was kind of our first language. I know that doesn't even make sense because we're from Brazil, but at home we spoke English, in school we spoke English, but the only place we spoke Portuguese was swimming. And as swimming became more prominent in our lives, that's where our Portuguese kind of improved. But my dad at the time, when I would be like, "Dad, like, I'm not doing well in Portuguese," he'd be like, "You're from Brazil. What do you mean?" And he'd get so frustrated. But it worked out, and so our plan was always to move here to the States, and swimming was just, like, an easier way to get here and just, like it's just, like, give us more opportunities.
That's super interesting.
I know.
Sorry, I'm just picturing your dad yelling at
He was so frustrated because my dad's like, both my parents are Brazilian, but my mom went to to England to live there for a few
Okay.
years for boarding school, but my dad was always Brazil, so when we were, like we're literally, like, almost failing in Portuguese, he was, like, so angry. He's like, "Are you kidding me?" Like
I mean, there are plenty of Americans who don't do well in English here, so I feel like that happens.
Yeah, I feel like it does. I tell myself that at least.
That's very interesting, though, that the plan was always to come to the United States, I guess, regardless of swimming, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. Um, it's also cool. You're a communications major. I was a communications major.
Yeah.
What
Oh,
what what do you like about what struck you about communication?
um, I really like getting involved with people, and I feel like communications is something that can go, like, so many different ways.
Hmm.
And, I also plan on doing a master's in marketing. That's kind of where I wanna go. That's kind of why initially I chose, business because I figured it was, like, more the marketing route, but it really wasn't. And my mom, my whole life told me that I should have done communications. And so when it came the opportunity, I was like, "You know what? Like, I feel like that can go just a different way for me." And I absolutely love communications. Like, I don't regret a day changing my major. Like, I've just, like, decided my major, but I absolutely love it, and I think it can, like, do so much, and you can do so much with it in so many different ways. So well, you can agree with me that one, like, it's just so many different things you can do with it.
Agree, yes, 100% agree. I really liked the versatility and the range of classes I ended up taking because of it.
Yes.
You get to experience a lot of different things. You can move in a lot of different directions. You can become a swimming podcaster, or
Yeah.
a myriad of other things. So
Yeah, I love it.
nice. That's great to hear. So you grew up with a swimming sibling, and then I'm also just curious about your experience representing Brazil on the international stage. I mean, for gosh sakes, you went to Tokyo when you were 16. What was your first Olympic experience like, especially it being the COVID Olympics?
It was crazy. I mean, I've gotten asked recently what the difference between me in 2021 and me in 2022 is. Honestly, not much, but, like,
Really?
maybe the age, but, I think it's 16. It was swimming, not that it was new to me, of course it wasn't, but competing at a high level was new to me. Before the Olympics, the only big meet I had gone to kind of was like a junior South American games at the age of like 15, maybe 14, and then pandemic hit. And I don't think I would have qualified for the Olympics if the pandemic hadn't happened, because over the pandemic, I think it's easier for a 16-year-old to like get back into swimming quicker than it is for someone who's a lot older. And so in that aspect, I think I got pretty lucky. But Tokyo was difficult. This is the first time I was traveling without my parents, and everything was really new. And I was like getting drug tested for like the first time, and it was just like so much happening, and I felt pretty alone. I'm not gonna lie. Like we all had our own room in the training trip. Like I was just really lost. Not that I didn't enjoy it, I loved it, but, like, for the long I was really struggling, like, being away from home, but the villa was a game changer. Like, when we arrived at the villa, I was like I had no idea what an Olympic villa looked like. Like, I was passionate about the sport, but not to the point where I would, like, search up, like, a lot about the Olympics. Like, I just liked what I did, but so when I got there, I was like, "Oh my god," like, I'm gluten-free and, like, I'm celiac, and when we went to the cafeteria, like, the dining hall, they had, like, this massive gluten-free section, and that's it. That's when everything changed. I was like, "You know what? I actually love it here."
That's when I knew.
That's when I knew I should have qualified for the Olympics. But but it was fun. I got to we didn't like Brazil, like, the relays did like, I saw 'em the 4 by 1, and I did it really well. I actually anchored the relay with a 54. Oh, maybe? Like, it was some crazy time, and they let me stay on to compete the last relay. I actually hadn't qualified for that relay, but they were like, "Actually, you swam so well that we're gonna, like, let you swim that one." So I got to stay all the way to the end of the Olympics and got to meet so many amazing people, so many famous people. I'm pretty sure I saw Djokovic there, like, it was crazy. And then moving on, like, fast forward 3 years, not even 4. Um, I got to compete in the final of the 4 by 200, and my parents were front row. So it was, like, so cool how I walked into an empty stadium. No, my parents, like, weren't there on the other side of literally the other side of the world, 12-hour difference, to me walking into the final of the 4 by 2, my parents in the first row cheering, and I literally had to fight back tears. I was, like, so happy. I was like, "This is so cool." Like, this is when this like, all that hard work is, like, definitely worth it. I would relive that moment any day, every day. So, it was a lot of fun.
That's amazing. I love that story.
Yeah.
I do have a few follow-ups. Okay, coolest person you've met at the Olympics?
Uh,
Either one.
gosh, I think Djokovic.
I
Like,
mean,
I took a
that's a
picture
good
with
one.
him.
Yeah.
"Can I take a picture?" I don't think he was so happy, but it's fine. I mean, I was just like
Yeah. Thanks, Djokovic. Appreciate that one. Um, which Paris or Tokyo, who had better food?
Tokyo.
Okay.
I'm sure you've heard about the horror stories Paris dining hall was.
Well, I mean, were they were they accurate? Or was it like, "Oh, it was fine?"
Yeah, I mean, the gluten-free, like, the guy I remember was asking for, like, pasta for dinner, and I could s like, I've been celiac
They
for
don't do
quite a few years.
gluten-free in France.
Tell me about it. So I was like, can I get the gluten-free pasta?" And he was, like, putting pasta, and I was like, "I don't think that's gluten-free." He was like, "Yes, it is." And I was, like, 100% sure it wasn't. So I was like so I walk away, and he's like, "No, no, no, come back, it's not gluten-free." I was like, "You're lucky I'm not allergic if I ate that," you know? But no gluten-free, like, hardly any gluten-free options. Everything was mixed, like, a lot of the time, there was no food left, and,
Hmm,
like so, like, the stories you hear are pretty accurate.
okay, bummer.
Mm.
Uh, what did you end up eating when you were in Paris?
Luckily, Team Brazil had a chateau, and we got to eat Brazilian food. Team Brazil was great. They, like so we would, like, walk or like, the chateau was, like, a 5-minute walk or, like, a minute drive from the villa, and we would have, like, rice, beans, meat, like, our typical Brazilian food. That was a game changer. That's definitely what saved me. But a few days I got to go out and, like, the days I wasn't competing, got to, like, just go out for lunch with my parents, so that was nice.
That's really nice.
Yeah,
Okay, best food in Tokyo.
the sushi for sure. The whole sushi section.
They had a sushi section in the Olympic Village.
Yeah, in the village. So,
Yeah.
like, in Tokyo, it was, like, set out by, like, specific, like, types of food, and one of them was, like, gluten-free, American, Italian, and then Japanese, and the line for the Japanese food was just all down. It was great.
Uh, that sounds really good. Yum.
I know.
Okay, wow. What coolest place you went at either? I guess you probably didn't do much sightseeing in Tokyo.
No.
Um, did you did a little, at least a little in Paris? Anywhere notable?
I had to make sure I went to the Eiffel Tower and saw the rings. So that one. I
Nice.
love that. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. You didn't do? I really liked seeing the Walk of Fame that athletes got to do. Um,
No, I didn't get to that. If only I had won a medal.
next time.
Next, yeah.
I really hope they do something like that for LA as well.
Oh, I feel like here in the States, they'd probably do an even better job.
Right. Like, I feel like that's our deal.
Yeah, I feel
Like,
like you guys are great with these things, especially sports related. Like, I think it'll
right.
be probably one of the best ones.
Yeah, like we have a parade and
Yeah.
yada yada. Okay. I'm also just curious about this South American Games in 2022, where you won 7 gold medals and 8 in total in Paraguay. And I mean, what, you were 16? 18?
17?
17?
17 to 18, yeah.
Okay. Did you have your birthday during the meet?
Actually, I think I just turned 18, you're right.
Okay.
Yeah, 18.
What was this meet like for you as a newly 18-year-old in Paraguay, where you were just every time you fell into the pool winning a gold medal?
It was fun, but I have to admit, I think that's when my swimming actually, as crazy as this might sound, was when I was genuinely getting unhappy with my swimming.
Mhm.
My coach had just left, so I had this one coach back home. I had him for 4 years, I think, and I grew up to be I don't even yeah, it was 4 years. I grew up to be very dependent on him, 100%.
Mhm.
How I would warm up, how I would cool down, everything was, like, kinda just told to me, which is fine. But when he left, I was completely lost, and I went back to the coach I had had when I was, like, 14 or, like, 13, and so we got kinda lost in translation, my coach and I, like, my new one, 'cause, like, I was just really struggling with, like, just not knowing really what to do, and him kinda giving me the free will at times to do what I wanted, but I didn't know what to do because the longest time I was just told. And so we just, like we're nowadays, we're great, but at the time, I feel like it was my fault completely, like, I only believe that my success came from this coach who had left, and not me or not any other coach could give me the same amount of success he did. And actually, like, this is the one thing that Michigan has, like, helped me with. Like, Brian is great, and I definitely couldn't do what I do nowadays without my coaches, but they have also allowed me to, do my own meet, warm up, cool down, like, it's on me. And that's, like, for me, what makes the biggest difference. And so at South American Games, like, when I did win all those medals, I still wasn't, like, satisfied. I just was like, "Okay, well, if my other coach was here, maybe I would be breaking South American records." Like, and it would
Mm.
always be a comparison to, like, what if my coach was here, then this would have happened, that would have happened, and this would have happened, and so it was, like, absolutely unbearable for about a year and a half where I was just, like, fully like, "What's the point of swimming if I don't have my coach who's gonna make me elite?" And then that's where, like, the whole mentality changed here. But I know, like, in 2021, I had this junior Pan Ams
Mhm.
where I won 7 gold medals too, and a few, like, meet records, and then I was happy because I still had my coach. It just doesn't make sense nowadays when I look back at it, but at the time, my 18-year-old self was convinced that the world was against me. And
Oh man, just goes to show you that gold medals don't always equate
yeah,
happiness.
they don't. They really don't.
Wow, I'm glad this conversation kind of came full circle to this point, because now you're at Michigan. It seems like you're in a better place, and soon to be back in Brazil, and hopefully qualifying for another World Championships.
I hope so. Singapore looks amazing.
Probably have good food.
Definitely.
Well, Stephanie, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and chat swimming and tell us about your season at Michigan and so much more. I really appreciate you taking this time.
Of course. Thank you for having me. I had a lot of fun.
You've been listening to the Swim Swam podcast. Stay tuned for new episodes every week. You can take Swim Swam podcast on the go by subscribing on your favorite podcast platform. Look for links in the description below, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos as well.